Hello, welcome to another Musing on. So I'm in a bit of a music jag, so we're going to do another episode where I talk about album releases from a certain year. I thought it'd be interesting to do 2008 into 2009, really interesting years for me, because when I was living a transatlantic existence, sounds very glamorous. So basically the reason was I was in the UK. My future wife was in Nova Scotia, and so I was travelling mainly. I was working in the UK, travelling to Nova Scotia, and then vice versa. My wife would be working in Nova Scotia and then occasionally travel to the UK. So it worked really well. And so this was all going on while my immigration was being processed. Or some of it anyway. The second half of 2009 really was when it all kicked in, because we got married. We were then able to do spousal sponsorship, and so that was sort of proceeding from about, I think, August of 2009 through to about September, October time, I think. And then I started to really wrap things up in November, and then by Christmas of 2009 I came over, and then all my stuff was travelling over by container ship, I suppose, and that arrived, I don't know, about a month and a half after I arrived. So yeah, in that 2009 period, I'm coming backwards and forwards a lot, just to set things up in terms of the sort of, the music discovery environment. So 2009, I was early adopter of streaming. So we've got services like Spotify, we've got services like Deezer in the early days, we've got services like Screamer, which allow you to do searches for MP3s. We've got people uploading their music collections to some of the file sharing sites, or file upload sites, should I say, but they're not setting passwords deliberately. There's other services available like private versions of streaming, which I leveraged, which you could set up a server and then access your own music collection remotely. So I was doing things like that to sort of facilitate listening to music while I was travelling. Also, I had, I don't think I got my Zune till a lot later, but I had another thing, I think it was called an Arches, which is this rather large music player, but could also play films if you converted it to the right format from, say, DVD. So I was really geared up for that. I had a little small laptop. I think I did a episode on it actually. My Life in Objects. That little, was it an ASUS? I think it was. I think that was either an ASUS or an Acer. It's not to hand at the moment, but one of those little white ones, which ran Linux. And so I was using that a lot when I travelled as well. And a pair of quite nice external speakers, which I bought on my first visit over to Nova Scotia. So I was all sort of geared up for listening to music on the go. But because of that, and the need to not add to any physical artifacts to my music collection, I wasn't buying many CDs anymore. I was still subscribed to Terrorizer, the music magazine, but I was actually having the issues delivered in Nova Scotia, to save me having them all in the UK, and then also having to bring some of those over as well. So there was lots of stuff going on in the background. So yeah, it's interesting. This is why I love doing this series, because so much of what you're doing does shape your music discovery in interesting ways. So yeah, I thought today, when I went out this morning, I downloaded this album by the Qemists from 2009, because what I want to look at is just, I'm curious about what I missed, because I must have missed tons of stuff. I was blogging at the time, both towards the end of the year on my own WordPress thing, but also through Mog, which was a music blogging service then. It turned into a streaming service and then something else, and then I suppose shut down ultimately. But yeah, so I thought, yeah, let's go through. So yeah, as I said, I listened to Join the Queue, which came out in 2009, and also Spirit in the System, the 2010 album. So if you're not familiar with the Qemists, they're from Brighton. And at that point I was listening to a lot of bands that were, I don't know if there was considered to be a Brighton scene at the time, but there were bands like Architects, and is Johnny Truant from Brighton? I can't remember. But yeah, I was made aware of quite a few bands that were from the Brighton area that were starting to come up. And Qemists are one of them. So they're a drum and bass breakbeat electronic rock band, so those sort of combinations. And my original exposure to breakbeat was probably through the Prodigy. And I've always been attracted to that combination of drum and bass stroke breakbeats in combination with guitars, which I suppose filtered through in the Prodigy's music, from music for the Jilted Generation into Fall of the Land, I think. And certainly in that period they were using a live guitarist. So yeah, and Qemists, there's guitar in the sound. So if you haven't checked them out, definitely check them out. They also, you can see, they have a lot of guest appearance on vocals, and that's true, I believe, if I remember from this morning. Yeah, the follow-up album. So you can see, look, I don't know if they're still doing that. I deliberately kept stuff really minimal when I was looking through this. I haven't got to listen to this album yet, so that's something to look forward to. 2016. Yep, and apparently still going. We've got some singles and some remixes. Yeah. So yeah, it says here, compared to bands like Pendulum and Prodigy. So just as a comparison in terms of 2009. Hopefully I've said 2009 from the get-go. 2009, Invaders Must Die came out by the Prodigy. So that had Take Them to Hospital on it, Omen, and the ones I remember at the time as hearing singles, but you've got Invaders Must Die, Warriors Dance. I listened to this album not long after it came out. And again, it's a combination with them, big beat, new rave, it's being called here. So Block Party are quite interesting name check there, actually. Okay, they're saying it's as a in-your-face DIY disco riposte to the sensitive indie rock touted by bands like Block Party. So they're saying it's like the antithesis in some ways. Yeah. But, like I said, is at various points in their career, the Prodigy have had, live guitarist. And so you can hear either guitar samples or guitar stuff coming through. Let's have a look on this album and see if it does actually mention any other live stuff. Probably not here. Oh, there you go, additional guitar, Tim Hutton. So you get some guitar thrown in there. So everything else must just be sampling or synths. Some live drums as well from Dave Grohl. I'd completely forgotten about that. And then the other band, but it was a live album, but they did put out something in 2009, which was Pendulum, and did this live at Brixton Academy. And actually, this is how I first discovered them, when I saw a YouTube video of them doing Master of Puppets into Slam. And this is an awesome section from Master of Puppets that they play. Now, this band do have a guitarist and a bass guitar. So if you see any shots of them live, they do look much more like a conventional band. So they are a mixture, as it says here, of drum and bass, electronic rock and alternative metal. I got into them, or discovered them, or wanted to check them out because of I was curious about what drum and bass had become at the end of the 2000s. Now I don't know. Yeah, there was another term that was being used as well, and I just can't remember what that was. Yeah, anyway. So, after live at Brixton, we've got Immersion. And then the reworks, and didn't they go, I think, didn't they go on a sort of hiatus for a while? Yeah. But yeah, those three bands, I'll include links. Definite 3 albums worth checking out. And their other stuff. So, this time around what I'm going to do is I won't do my sort of review of film stuff until the end. So yeah, if you want to stick around till the end, if you're curious about what sort of was doing well that year. Because, again, funny thing with that, because I'm going backwards and forwards on planes, I think at that point I didn't get much choice in terms of, I'm just trying to think, it was only the winter trips where I'd fly with Air Canada, because that was the only airline I could fly with during the winter. Anything in the summer, I was flying with Air Transit, I think. And so the big difference is on the Air Transit flights, you didn't get any choice about what they were showing. They get through about 2 or 3 films, I think, because it's about, a 6-hour flight. But if you travel with Air Canada, you get to choose. So I'm curious as to when I remember seeing some of the films from 2009, whether it was, at the cinema, because often when I would visit over here, we might go to the cinema, or when my wife would visit over to the UK, we might go out there. We're also seeing live bands as well, so it's going to be interesting if I remember anybody. Okay, so probably one of the albums, I didn't play it a lot, but I remember it being out, was this one, which was the Merriweather Post Pavilion, Psychedelic Pop by the Animal Collective. I remember this album because I can remember listening to it because I did a write-up of it on my blog on WordPress. So I do remember, and certainly I played this a lot. It's like an electropop album. Okay, let's see. I've got the metal list up as well, just in case I miss anything, because I know there was a few heavy albums I was listening to at that point. I don't know if I listened to that. I don't think so. Oh, here we go. Hollow Crown by the Architects. Yeah, so they were on their third album by then. Luckily enough, I got to see them. I think I mentioned this. Maybe I didn't mention it before. I was trying to think. It must have been in the 2010s because it was when I was over here and they played like an all ages show. In fact, they played 2 gigs in Halifax, which is really unusual. I mean, a lot of bands don't even bother playing Halifax. But on their world tour, they did actually do 2 dates in Halifax. They played like an all ages gig earlier in the day, and then they did another one at a club somewhere. So yeah, a live venue. So yeah, Hollow Crown. So what did they release? Oh, they're here and now in 2011. Don't think it was well. Yeah, I'm unsure. It should. Let me just check that now. Because didn't they do they did a video, didn't they? Like a documentary. I think. Yeah, the 100 Days. Daybreaker. So when was that recorded? Wow, 2012 then. Okay. That's odd. I didn't think. Oh, is this the one where it doesn't actually say? Yeah, structures and sight for so nice. Oh, it just shows you how unreliable your memory can be. So I didn't see them until 2012. Funny that. It felt like earlier in the year. Actually, that does make a lot of sense. Now I think about what I was doing in 2012. So yeah, I correct myself there. So it wasn't 2020, it was 2012 when I saw them. And the gig isn't in here, I don't think. That was the other weird thing. So it's on my tour t-shirt. But it's not. If you look here we go. There you go. So this one has both of them on the pavilion, and it has them as separate days as well, which confused me because I'm sure they were talking about. Again, my memory may be incorrect here. Who knows? But I'm sure they were talking about playing a later gig somewhere, unless they were referring to the day before. But the way it's got here is there's the pub gig, there the pavilion one is the all ages. So yeah, that's the poster. Anyway, I digress, but it was important for the discussion. So yeah, Hollow Crown from that year, Here and Now, and then Daybreaker was when I saw them live. But I'm pretty sure the first album I listened to by them was Hollow Crown. Good band. Okay, what else have we got? As always, after I do this episode, I'm going to have to go through and listen to some of these albums. I suspect that there's an awful lot from 2009 I didn't listen to. Wasn't there a Bat for Lashes album out this year? Because I saw them live in... When was it? September, October time? Along with Insiphirum. Okay. Nothing leaps out. Oh, here we go. So we've got Wrath by Lamb of God. I remember this. Yep, so this is their 6th album. Then we've got Invaders Must Die. So we're in February at the moment. No Line on the Horizon. I was trying to remember which was the album that got pushed out or on Apple Music automatically. I can't remember. There was a U2 album. I don't know if it was this one. If anybody remembers what that was, which album it was, let me know in the comments section. But I did go and see U2 on the 360 tour. I saw them in New Brunswick at Magnetic Hill. I can't remember how long this tour went on for. I don't know if it's got a listing here. Yeah, anyway, that may well have been. Oh, here we go. Let's have a look, see if I can find the gig. So when did they play? Edmonton. Oh, we're getting close. There you go, Moncton. That was it, Arcade Fire. Because we'd seen Arcade Fire, I think, the previous day. Or 1 or 2 days before, playing by the library, actually. There's like an outdoor... I think it was there. I don't think it was on Citadel Hill. I've got a feeling it must have been at Dartmouth Library. Alderney Landing, I think it is. I always get confused with Alderney Landing or Alderney Gate. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, so I saw them. So that was 2011 then I saw them again in Moncton. Yeah, that was a evening and a half. We had to, that was it, we had to travel by bus to the venue. So we parked up somewhere. We had to wander around, and then we got back and we couldn't, the car key wouldn't work properly in the ignition. So we preemptively called a tow truck to get a price to tow us back, and then also to sort of, well, just to come out to see if they could get it to work, and they couldn't get, for some reason the key wouldn't engage. So we weren't going to miss the gig, so we went to the gig anyway, came back, slept the night in the car, and then they came out and towed the car back the following day. It worked out pretty expensive. But yeah, so that was quite an event. And I remember we got out of the gig really late because it was all, everybody was like bussed in and bussed out. So yeah, we were queuing for ages to get buses out. So I said never again after that. Or if we did go, it would have to be a proper package tour. And it rained as well. But the band were fantastic. But that wasn't until 2011. So yeah, I was lucky enough, can't complain, to see U2 live. Okay. That was, yeah, not till 2 years later. Okay, I have real problems actually. I sometimes go through this. In the past I've done these episodes, I've then forgotten that I went to see certain bands live, and maybe have said, oh no, I don't think I've seen them live, and it turns out I have. Because over time I've just forgotten. Well, then my wife was saying she went to see Propaganda, and it was like one of the loudest gigs she'd been to. And she's been to a lot of gigs. I think the loudest gig I ever went to was definitely the Ramones. sometime in, I don't know, it might have been 1986, maybe 85, 86, whenever they played the top rank in Brighton. Oh, I have this album, I think. Is it junior or senior? One of the two. I think I've got junior. Yep. They're a cool band. What was the one that... I'm trying to think. The track that Enslaved did a really good cover of. But I don't know what album that might be off of. Yeah. But yeah, like me some Royksop. There's a few other bands here I recognise, but I didn't really keep up with, like Hammerfall. I was really into them during the first couple of albums, but I'd sort of lost track by this point in their career. But if you're into power metal, yeah, check them out. Where were KMFDM up to at this point? Blitz. I've always really loved their interesting artwork on their album covers. Okay, Mastodon, Crack the Sky, 4th album. Didn't get to see them until they supported Judas Priest in sometime in the 2010s. Papa Roach were up to their 6th album. Haven't really listened to that much of their stuff beyond the first couple of albums. Interesting. Infest and that one. Never listened to their first album actually, so that's one I should check that out. Yeah. Oh, Death Cab for Cutie. I can remember this band were mentioned a lot on Mog when I was blogging on there, but never really listened to them properly. Queensryche I saw supporting Scorpions sometime in 2010. Wow, there's a lot of stuff here I didn't listen to, which I would have liked to. 5th. So when did I stop listening to them? Yeah, around the time of Karma Code, I think, was the last album. Wow, this is really interesting. As always, if there's any albums that grab your eye and you remember from that time, or have listened to subsequently, just pop a comment in the comment section. Metric, where were they up to? The 4th album. Wow. What was I listening to then by them? Because we were listening to Metric. But where? What was my jump on album with them then? Not sure. Maybe I saw them live at some point. Yeah, possibly. I definitely need to listen to them. Oh, it's Preview 73. I think I've spoken about them before. did a podcast episode. That was it. One Word Extinguisher. I think I did a podcast episode. I was looking or talking about that album. And I think I've done some sort of... I think I've done an album episode as well, somewhere on the channel. It's funny, sometimes I forget what I haven't done. Okay, what were they up to? Depeche Mode. Wow, so much stuff here. Oh yeah, this band now. So, what was the band? What was the one with... We formed a band? Yeah, I've heard this album a lot. Yeah, so their first album. So I should definitely check out that album, I think. What album are Earth Crisis up to? 6th. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how much that has changed from their early stuff. Now, Fight Style. Who was in this band? Yeah, I think there's quite a few bands here that I didn't listen to, but I recognise from being reviewed in the music magazine Rock Sound. Okay, 5th album by Isis. Okay. Wow, so much stuff here I need to listen to. Oh, that's Hellstorm. That's their debut. Oh, here we go. Heaven and Hell. So I went to a really cool gig when I was still in the UK, so I'm trying to think when that was. Must have been... When did I stop? So I dialed back on some UK gigs, except on certain trips, because I was unsure when my visa would come through. So I only went to gigs if I definitely knew I was going to be in the UK. So it must have been either the first half of 2009 or 2008, but I did go and see, I think it was before this album came out, maybe. No, I'm not 100% sure, but I definitely saw Heaven and Hell live in Brighton. And there was... Who was on that gig? Lamb of God played, as did... Was it Iced Earth? There may have been a 4th band as well. The funny thing is, I don't remember buying a tour t-shirt. Wow, 2007 according to this. I'm just looking up a review. So I'm pretty sure it was this gig. So yeah, that was 2000. Wow. Yeah. It's a bit of an old right up there, but yeah. So sometime in 2007. Wow. Okay. So 2 years before. Yeah, I did have a feeling they did the live shows, and they were basically playing, certain songs from the era when Ronnie James Dio was in the band. So Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules, and it was pretty cool because several of my friends who I met up with at the gig had been to the gig with the original lineup way back around the time of Heaven and Hell, I think in Brighton actually. So it was cool for them to see the band like years later, and that would have been, wow, sometime in the early 80s. Whenever, was it 1980 when Heaven and Hell came out? I think that's right. Yeah, April 1980. That one. So yeah, Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules, and I suspect, I can't remember exactly what they played, but I'm assuming they must have played some stuff from, when was that album? Yeah, Dehumanizer as well. Okay. I probably could have looked it all up through there, couldn't I? Never mind. Never really listened to that much. Now, Gallows. I did listen to some of their stuff, and it may have been this album. Yeah, they're from Herefordshire. Yeah, well, looks like it did pretty well. Oh, so much good stuff here. This isn't so there is another band called, I think just called Chariot, who I'm more familiar with. I bet there's going to be quite a few like metalcore bands this year, in this year, 2009, yeah, with stuff out. Devil Wears Prada, what was that? Third album. Hatebreed had out For the Lions. I remember, again, sometime in 2007, 2008, going to a lot of gigs where metalcore bands were playing, or, you know, crossover, you know, hardcore bands. This Crystal Method, which I spoke about in a previous episode. I think I checked this out not long after it came out. So they're another, what are they classed as? They're just classed as electronica. But weren't they originally like a, yeah. That's how I discovered them actually. That's a big beat combo. Horrorcore, okay. Oh, Monoliths and Dimensions. Don't think I listened to that. Wow, I missed a lot, didn't I? Okay, this is a good band. Now, I've only ever listened to one of their albums, I think, which is, probably not doing this in a very smart way. Would it be their first album? Wow, 10th anniversary, yeah. I'm not being very efficient here. Tales from the Thousand Lakes from 1994. That's how mainly I know them. Yeah, an influential release. Yeah, well worth checking out if you sort of like this sort of style of, you know, where sort of death metal meets doom, melodic death metal and gothic metal. There's several bands that sort of tick those boxes, or tick them at certain times in their careers. And it's also, chronologically, it's really interesting to listen to their development over time, because they tend to be quite progressive in a broad sense. Not necessarily, I don't mean like in terms of they play progressive metal specifically, like, you know, I'm trying to think of a good example of a band where they're all progressive metal band. There's a band on the tip of my tongue, but although there's elements of progressive metal in the sound, they're just a progressive band because over time their styles sort of change in terms of what they play. Prog metal. Yeah, so, yeah, the bands I tend to think falling into that, yeah, Dream Theater is a good example, actually. Of bands that specifically have a progressive metal sound to them, as opposed to a band whose sound progresses, if that makes any sense at all. Oh, Patrick Wolf. Yeah, we saw him live in 2009. I don't know what gig it was, because I didn't buy the tickets actually. Yeah, that was good. I remember him having this jacket with like what looked to me like a load of pencils on the back. Of course, there's this, yeah, Indietronica. So there's an awful lot of, what do you call it? Where you sort of mash two words together. I'm trying to think what that's called. Has a name, doesn't it? But yeah, that's the other thing I started to notice. Quite a lot in the late 2000s, particularly, like these sort of mashing up of different styles into a single name. And oh god, again, the term for that, doing that is on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, I used to play this game. I think I've told this story where I would dream up the mashing together of different styles, and then go away and Google it and see if it did exist. Like, I remember one time thinking, oh, is there such a thing as circus metal? And yeah, there was. And before I knew about Nintendo Core, I just thought I was obsessed with all these genres where they portmanteau, isn't it? Is that what it's called, portmanteau, when you put two words together? So I was really obsessed by genres of music sticking core on the end. So then I started to think like, I wonder if this is something like Nintendo Core or those sort of things. So yeah. So, yeah, 2009, lots of interesting portmanteau, I suspect. Or, what's the other term they sometimes use? Hybrid genres. Oh, Battle for the Sun came out then, wow. Yeah, I remember that coming out. What did that have on it? What was the big single for that? Yeah, definitely have to listen back to that. Oh, Coalesce had Ox or OX, however you pronounce it out. Mathcore, so yeah, Converge, Botch, Coalesce, and the Dillinger Escape Plan. So this is probably the first mathcore band I think I heard was Dillinger Escape Plan. And let me try and find it. Calculating Infinity, but there was that other one. Under the something. That's it. Under the Running Board. That was the one. Yeah. Because this has the reason why I remember this is because it was this EP and an Enslaved album were the first things I ever bought on Amazon. Someone sent me an Amazon gift voucher way back, sometime I suppose in the, when would that have been? I'm trying to think when Amazon started, but it was the earlier days of Amazon, but at the point where they'd started selling music on there, and someone had sent me a gift voucher, but I didn't have an account, so I actually had to set up an account to use it, and there was enough money on it to buy an EP and a CD, so I wanted the Enslaved album, whatever was out at that time, or was on one of my lists, and this Under the Running Board, which was on a 2-buy list that I had. Feel the Steel, debut album by Steel Panther. Oh wow, I was still going strong at that point. 9th album. Spinal Tap. Oh, yeah, this... So, I was on a bit of a future pop jag at this point in time. VNV Nation was one, and Assemblage 23 were the other. I was listening to them a lot. And I nearly went to see them live, but I think, during a period where I was a bit unsure as to whether I would have to, whether I'd get my visa through to come over. So I was being really careful about what stuff I booked in advance in terms of gigs. So I had a bit of a moratorium on going to see bands in 2009. But yeah, it would have been cool to go and see either VNV Nation or Assemblage 23. I can't remember if they toured together or not. Oh yeah, Alexis on Fire. They've definitely come up in previous episodes. Old Crows, The Young Cardinals, 4th studio album. Saw them I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was basically they had Billy Talent as support. I can't remember if I comment. Someone had mentioned about them in one of my previous videos, and I'm trying to remember who else played at that gig. Now it's funny, I literally looked at this the other day when I saw the comment and thought, yeah, that's right, I went to see them live, and now I just can't remember. One, did I actually reply to the comment, or two, whether I already did the research. No. Yeah, no, I can't find what I was looking for. I'm sure it will come to me after the fact, wherever that was commented. Anyway, so yeah, sometime It must have been. It must have been after this. I'm trying to think when they sort of stopped. Yeah, 2011. So I did go to see them before they called it a day, but I don't think it was on the final tour. I know it was in Halifax, and it was after I'd come over, after I'd sort of fully immigrated, and I'm trying to remember the other band that supported them as well, because there was a third band, because we had a problem when we went to the gig in that we spent so long outside queuing up because they were checking everybody meticulously, like screening. I know it took us a long time to get in and we missed the support band. And I'm trying to rack my brains now, because I did look this up the other day for a different reason. And I don't think it was... because they did tour at one point with Billy Talent and Against Me, I think. But I don't remember. And that was in 2009, and I don't remember going to see them then. And I don't think that on that tour they played Halifax. The Cunard Centre, that was it. April the 15th, 2010. So yeah, the following year I saw them. They were very good. And it's quite possible I even mentioned that in the previous video as well. Because, you know, once I shoot these videos I tend to forget what goes into them. Wow, Darkest Hour. Okay. Oh, so much stuff here that I need to listen to. Alright, I did see someone else here. Oh, you're in the constellation of the Black Widow. Now, does that have... yeah. Okay. Oh, that's a good album. Yeah, they've had a good run of albums. This is one of my favourite, like, really extreme bands. Yeah. Awesome band. I wish I had the opportunity to see them live. I think they still tour. Oh, what are we up to here? 5th studio album. Oh yeah, I saw this band. They were really good. Born of Osiris. But I saw them in sometime around here. think it was them and a band called Anterior. I'd been to several gigs in Brighton in around sort of 2007, 2008 time, where there were like, 4 or 5 bands on a bill. So you really got your money's worth. Oh, there's Billy Talent 3. That came out that year. Got so much good stuff. Oh. I'm going to have fun on my walks tomorrow listening to some of this stuff. I'm probably skipping over loads here as well. I remember this album. My Owl City. I remember, I don't think I listened to it that much. What did that have as singles? Oh, fair, it had Fireflies on it, didn't it? That was all over the radio. I haven't seen yet I thought Bat for Lashes had an album out this year, but maybe I'm wrong. Oh, this album, yeah. Oh, we played this to death. Yeah. Debut album by the XX. Oh, there's a new album. Wow. Arctic Monkeys. OTEP. Smash the Controls Machine. Now, what's the album with? Is it Warhead on it? I've got that right. Because that's when I became aware of them. OTEP. Strange. What's gone wrong here? What's the Secrets, was it? Yeah, that one. That one. But a bit later. Mainly because of the video. It's a really interesting sort of, I don't know what you call it, like this really assemblage of images, the way it was cut together. I'd never really seen anything in that style before. Where were they? 4th album by then. There was a bit of a good run, I think, with these. Did they give it a special name? Like, no, it's just more thrash. I was trying to think if there's been waves of thrash metal or they just don't bother. Yeah, more metalcore. Oh, 3 Inches of Blood. And I've lost track of have I seen them. Yeah, I've seen them at least twice, because I saw them once in London at the Brixton Academy, and I can't remember who they were supporting, whether it was Machine Head or Opeth. And I think at the point I saw them, they may have still had the 2 vocalists. Not sure when the second vocalist left, because he fried his voice, I think. He just didn't look after it. So they had a clean vocalist and a screaming vocalist. What was it? I don't know when Jamie left the band. Does it say? 2008 he quit the band. So I may have seen them when he was still in the band, actually. Yeah, and then I saw them again later on in Halifax after he left the band, and there was I think it was a dual headlining, maybe. I don't know if they alternated between them and another band that I think is going to come up in a moment. And I'm trying to remember their name now. The album's Apocalyptic Havoc. Was it Goat Hall, I think? Yeah, I think that's the name of the band. Andrew WK. Yeah, I always remember that album cover for, was it I Get Wet? Oh, Skindred. Completely forgotten about them. Yeah, because they're from Wales, aren't they? Yeah. Oh, the Cribs. Yeah. Johnny Marr was in them for a period of time, wasn't he? As a touring member. I mean, he was on this album then. Yeah, never really listened to them that much, actually. I should do, because I really like Johnny Marr. I bought that album, was it last year? No, the year before, which was a collection of all the EPs that he released that year. Yeah, so I thought this might come up. So we saw this band in London in 2009, and they were awesome. Yeah. Yeah, so maybe if the Bat for Lashes is going to come up, it's around about time here, because it was on the same time when my wife took a trip to the UK. So it was the last trip we did, and she came over, and then sometime in October I got my visa, and then boom, wrapped everything up and was out in Canada by December. So yeah, we went to 2 gigs. We went to Insaferum and we went to Bat for Lashes. And it was a cool trip because we stayed in this cottage, this ex-gamekeeper's cottage in the middle of nowhere. It was in this, like, in the middle of a forest, on this really long forest road. Wasn't a tarmac road, and you had to drive a bit to get there. Totally secluded. And I remember it had like a gate with a key code on it to get in. And so, yeah, it's a brilliant place to stay. Really atmospheric, really quiet. There were actually bats in the loft because it was all sealed up, and it had a warning on the door, the panel up to the roof, and it was, locked up. But it was funny because of where it was. There was a TV there, but they had a load of videos because there was no aerial. So yeah, it was a great place if you just want somewhere quiet to hang out with no distractions. I mean, we went a lot of places, but yeah, it was really enjoyed it. But it was really funny because when I booked it, which was through the thing, an organisation in the UK called, is it English Trust? National Trust. That's it, National Trust. They have these really cool places you can stay, and that was one of them. And yeah, that always sticks in our mind as one of the best places we ever stayed. But there was a warning on there about they'd had a few problems where people had gone down there and sort of freaked out a little bit because it was so quiet and just couldn't handle the isolation. So yeah, it's a side, well, unless you're maybe an aspiring writer or musician who wants to just go somewhere on their own and get creative, good. But it definitely was good going there with somebody else. And we'd wake up in the morning and there'd be all these sort of rabbits out on the front lawn. Really cool. And you could see the old kennels where they used to keep the hunting dogs as well, from back in the day. I think by staying there we got free entrance into some gardens where there was a manor house, which would have been originally part of the property, or it was still part of the property. Yeah, that was really cool. Oh, Black Dahlia Murder. I do have one of those albums on vinyl, but not that one. Oh, Shadows Fall. Pretty sure I saw them live as well. Might have even been at the same time I saw Born of Osiris. Yeah, I know that around that period I saw All That Remains, Born of Osiris, Anteria, probably Shadows Fall, The Berserker. And it was the trouble where I get confused whether there were a couple of gigs which were very, had 4 or 5 bands, and they were very close together, and I always get confused about who played what nights. So, Despised Icon, Five Finger Death Punch. Oh, this is a good album. What has this got? Yeah. So was that a bit of a return to their more sort of doomy? Yeah. They're well worth. I think I've said this before. There's 3 bands like Paradise Lost, My Dying Bride, and Anathema. If you have time and you're interested in sort of UK or the Peacefield 3, that started off as doom death bands basically, and just seeing how they evolve musically over time. It's a really interesting musical journey to take through the various albums, and they're still going now. I think I can't remember if Anathema called it a day or not, but I'm pretty sure My Dying Bride and Paradise Lost are still going. Oh, AFI Crash Love. Does this have? Where's the track gone? End Transmission. Really like that song. Oh, so much good stuff here. Wow. Yeah, there's other bands here that I've never listened to, like Breaking Benjamin. But I sort of heard mentioned, Paramore. I think I might have listened to this album, not sure. Again, a lot of these bands would be featured in the Rock Sounds magazine quite a bit. I remember Mumford & Sons. Yeah, I didn't really like them that much, but yeah, they were all over the charts in the UK. Okay. I did listen to one of his albums, but I can't remember which one. I more sort of came to know him through remixes, I think. I think he did some remixes for Sarah McLachlan. Editor's album. Rammstein. What are they up to by then? Wow. Electric Six. Sort of post Garl and King of Hell Gorgoroth. Yeah. Oh, Tegan and Sarah didn't have them out. Sainthood. We did go and see them a couple of times, I think. But I can't remember which year. It's definitely the 2010s. Between the Buried and Me, Pelican, one of these sort of post-metal bands. I always sort of associate this band with, say, ISIS and Neurosis, basically. Night is a New Day. You know, lucky enough to get to see Catatonia later on in their career. They actually, pretty sure they were supporting Opeth, maybe. But when they played Nova Scotia, so I saw Opeth the second time, and they sounded a lot. When I saw Opeth the second time, they sounded a lot better. I never really did like the sound in the Brixton Academy. It's a bit too echoey. I remember actually listening to this album at the time, and I can't remember. I must have listened to it. I must have streamed it. Swallow the Sun are interesting, worth checking out. Yeah, there was a few, you know, Death Doom, a lot of death metal bands. There were albums that were pretty popular. 2009. I don't know what's on this one. Yeah, there's a number of Robbie Williams albums I pretty much enjoy. Oh, Flyleaf now. I'm pretty sure I listened to their first album. It's Kralis. Where were they from? Oh, America. I'm thinking of another one then. Them Crooked Vultures, which is Josh Homm's band. I think I mentioned before when Queens of the Stone Age had come up, we actually saw them, well, this year, live. It was pretty cool. With the Struts supporting Rihanna. December. Oh yeah, I remember this album. Yeah, I remember playing that a lot when it came out. So not many that I played at the time. But that was one of them. So I'm now curious, because clearly, according to this, or I may have skipped over it, oh, there it is. I missed it. Back for Lashes. There we go. Oh, yeah, I must have just missed it there as I was going through, because I was talking about the Kuna Coil. So, yeah, lucky enough to see Bat for Lashes in 2009, around the same time I saw Encephalum. That would have been, yeah, what did I say? Sort of October time, I suppose. And yeah, but very weird sound live, very bassy, to almost to the point where it made me feel a bit ill. Yeah, strange sound, super bassy. Interesting stage show. I think it had televisions on there as well. Yeah. Oh wow, so much good stuff. Well, that's really brought a smile to my face. I was just going to quickly scroll through here and see if there's anything in the heavier side of the street which I had missed, but I don't. There was all in the Throne Room EP out. Had I just started listening to them? May have done. Anybody else here? Probably better off. Oh, there's a My Dying Bride one for Lies I Sire. Missed that one off. Must have skipped over it. Oh, there it is. Wolves in the Throne Room, Black Cascade. Third album. Okay. compilations here. Nudger, yeah, unfortunately I missed going to see them. They did play Nova Scotia sometime in, yeah, probably at the time around here, but unfortunately I wasn't in Nova Scotia at the point when they played, so missed them. It was a pretty intimate gig as well, I seem to remember, from what I heard, because yeah, my wife went to actually. Oh, Tim Ripper had a solo album. Okay. I did not know that. I was aware of his sort of pre-Judas Priest band, and I do have an album by them, but I didn't know. I wasn't aware of that album. Oh, the Zathar album. UFO's The Visitor. Yeah, not much here that I, beyond what I've already highlighted that I actually listened to at the time, or was aware of. I mean, there's a lot of bands here I recognise, but it's just the albums. Oh, there's Ahab. What album was this? Second album. Yeah. If you like Funeral Doom, check out Ahab. Leaves Eyes. What was that? The third. Yeah, I'm trying to remember which album I have. Probably the first album. Maybe. No, I'm not sure. EP Vinland Saga, yeah. Liv Christine. And wasn't she originally in, what band was she in? Theatre of Tragedy, that was it. Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't mind listening to that, see what that album's like. Oh, 69 Eyes, yeah. Yeah, there's a ton of really interesting Finnish rock bands I need to check out. I have one album, or actually no, two albums by this band. Is it Angels and Devils? I think that's it. Yeah. And there's Deathlock. Yeah, lucky enough to see Protest the Hero live when they did a playthrough of Fortress. Yeah, one of the sort of years where it had a, you know, anniversary. We Shall Fail by Immortal. Don't think I saw that first time through. Oh, Horse the Band. Now this is an interesting band. So how did I end up checking them out? Oh, yeah, they're a Nintendo chord band. There you go. And I listened to them. What was the first album I listened to by them? Was it the one with, yeah, bunnies on it? Yeah, this one. Probably as a result of it being re-released. Yeah. Horse the Band. There was another one as well. Similar band to that. Russian Circles, post-metal band. Oh, there was the third album by Halford. Got the first two. So film-wise, so Taken was out that year. It's sort of Friday the 13th. The Watchmen. So I'm not sure where I saw Watchmen and Taken. I think I ended up seeing them a bit later. I know I got Watchmen on DVD, but I remember, yeah, did we rent it? Yeah, it's funny because I remember having it in 2000, watching it in 2009, but not seeing it at the cinema, so yeah. Well, could have been, yeah, unsure. Could have been 2010 thinking about it. But I remember having it on DVD. Oh, Fast and the Furious. X-Men Origins Wolverine. There was the Star Trek reboot. Went to see that at the cinema. I remember seeing that on the plane, or on a plane. Up. Where are we up to here? Oh, District 9. Yeah, that's a really good film if you haven't checked that out. Yeah, really good. So, yeah. Christmas Carol. What version? Okay. And then, of course, Avatar. Wow. Yeah, I really enjoyed Up. In fact, there was Up, wasn't there? And what was the other one I saw on a plane? Was it Wall-E? I can't remember when that came out. Was that out the previous year, maybe? I don't know. Yeah. Oh, and Gran Torino. Yeah, definitely watched that on a plane one time. Just can't remember which plane or where I was travelling. Well, there we have it. That was fun. I hope these come across well when you watch them. It's difficult to know because I'm completely absorbed in these, like absorbed in my own head. So it's difficult to, know whether that extends out when you view it. I mean, worst case scenario, probably going to send people to sleep, which isn't a bad thing. So yeah, thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in a future episode.